Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. In the name of God as a noun and verb, the most merciful God, the bestower of mercy. And Surah 18 is a great one, the central one to say on Juma, along with 32, 76, 50, and 62. And I'll tell you also which two surahs are good to say in the prayer, but Thursday sunset to Friday sunset is when I am talking about. And this surah answered 3 questions. What about the companion of Moses? What about the ruler of 2 horns? And what about the people of the cave? I don't remember whether these questions were asked. They're saying, well, prove your prophethood by telling these, and, well, praise be unto God, who hath sent down unto his servant the book, and hath not inserted therein any crookedness, a straight, that he should threaten a grievous punishment from his presence, and should bear glad tidings unto the faithful who work righteousness, that they should receive as an excellent reward, wherein they shall remain forever, and that he should warn those who say, God hath begotten issue, of which matter they have no knowledge, neither had their fathers, a grievous saying which proceedeth from their mouths. They speak no other than a lie. Peradventure thou wilt kill thyself with grief after them, if they believe not in this new revelation. Verily, we have ordained whatever is on earth for the ornament thereof, that we might make trial of men, and see which of them excelleth in works, and we surely reduce whatever is thereon to dry dust. Dost thou consider what the companions of the cave and Al-Rakim were one of our signs and a great miracle? And Ar-Rakim, now, if the Bismillah is included, that would be 9 verses. And if not, we continue with, when the young men took refuge in the cave, they said, O Lord, grant us mercy from before thee, and dispose our business for us to a right issue. And the first 10 verses of Surah 18 and the last 10 are a means by which one has the inner that protects the and the outer actions that protects one from the false messiah, the big false messiah. And so it's more about what you do rather than trying to pull your way on others. Or, the first 10 are the last 10. But it's better to say the whole surah. It tells you how to make your way through it, these end times. Wherefore we struck their ears in the cave for a number of years, and then we awakened them, that we might know which of the 2 parties were more excellent in computing the space which they had remained therein. We will relate unto thee their history with truth. Verily, they were young men who had believed in their Lord, and we had abundantly directed them, and we had fortified their hearts with constancy, when they stood and they said, Our Lord is the Lord of heaven and earth. We will by no means call on any God besides him. then should we surely utter an extravagance. These our people have taken besides him, although they bring no demonstrative argument for them. And who is more unjust than he who deviseth a lie concerning God? And they said one to the other, when ye shall separate yourselves from them, and from which they worship except God, fly into the cave. Your Lord will pour his mercy on you abundantly, and will dispose your business for you to an advantage. And thou mightest have seen the sun when it had risen to decline from their cave towards the right hand, and when it went down to leave them on the left hand, and they were in the spacious part of the cave. This was one of the signs of God. Whomsoever God shall direct, he shall be rightly directed, and whomsoever he shall cause to err, thou shalt not find any to defend or direct. So, some of these things sound a little strange in English, but the implications of the verb and noun and adverb and whatnot forms. And thou wouldest have judged them to be awake while they were sleeping, and we caused them to turn themselves to the right and to the left, and their dog stretched forth its forelegs in the mouth of the cave. If thou hadst come suddenly upon them, verily thou wouldst have turned thy back and fled from them, and thou wouldst have been filled with fear at them. And so we awakened them from our sleep, and they might ask questions one of another. One of them spake and said, how long have ye tarried here? They answered, we have tarried a day or part of a day. Others said, your Lord best knoweth the time which you've tarried. Now send one of you with this your money into the city, and let him see which of its inhabitants hath best and cheapest food, and let him bring you provision from him, and let him behave circumspectly, and not discover you to anyone. Verily, if they come up against you, they will stone you, or force you to return to their religion, and then shall ye not prosper forever. And so we made them acquainted with what had happened to them, that they might know that the promise of God is true, and there is no doubt concerning the last hour, when they disputed among themselves concerning their matter. And they said, erect a building over them. Their Lord best knoweth their condition. So the people who set up churches and other sort of shrines, or the people have divided over the matter. Those who prevailed in their affair answered, we will surely build a chapel over them. Some of them say, 3, and their dog was their 4th. Others say, they were 5, and their dog was the 6th. Guessing is a secret matter. And others say, there were 7, and their dog was the 8th. My Lord best knoweth their number. None shall know them except a few. So the story was recorded in various ways, but not in a reliable way. But that is not the point. But another point here is that there is proper use of dogs, and a guard dog is one of the proper ways that one can have a. And as a side note, in Islam, particularly in the modern era, the diagonal across the hand, you're not supposed to have the dimension of a gravestone any bigger than that. Yet people called Muslim have disobeyed this, and the largest graves in the world are run by al-Muslimin. Say, my Lord best knoweth their number, none shall know them except a few. Wherefore dispute not concerning them, except the clear disputation has been revealed unto thee, and ask not concerning them. Say not of any matter, I will surely do this tomorrow, unless thou add, if God please. So, inshallah, Please add inshallah for whatever you intend to do. And remember thy Lord when thou forgettest, and say, My Lord is able to direct me with ease, that I may draw near unto the truth of the matter rightly. And they remained in the cave 300 years and 9 over. 300 solar years equals 309 lunar years. Is that the right term? I mean, is that the right... yeah. I knew that sounded right. And God best knoweth how long they continued there. Unto him are the secrets of the heaven and earth. Do thou make him to see and to hear, the inhabitants have no protector besides him, neither doth he suffer anyone to have a share or knowledge of his decree. Read that which has been revealed unto thee from the book of thy Lord, without presuming to make any change therein. There is none who hath power besides him, if thou attempt it. Behave thyself with constancy towards who call upon their Lord in morning and evening, and who seek his favor. And let not thine eyes be turned away from them, seeking the pomp of this life, neither obey him whose hearts we have caused to neglect in the remembrance of us, and who followeth this lust, and leaveth behind him. So I gotta be careful with the plastic bucket here, making noise. And say, the truth is from your Lord. Wherefore let him who will believe, and let him who will be incredulous. So please remember this verse. Oh, and say the truth is from your Lord, down to terrible is the drink and an evil dwelling place. We prepared for the unjust fire, the flame and smoke, whereof they shall surround him like a pavilion. And if they beg relief, they shall be relieved with water like molten brass, which shall scald their faces. Oh, how miserable a potion, and how unhappy a couch. Murtafaqa. And let's remember here that this is one of the verses that tells you that you can believe or disbelieve whatever you want, according to Islam. Well, I mean, Islam will condemn your wrong beliefs and your wrong actions, but you can believe or disbelieve whatever you want in an actually Islamic state. As to those who believe and do good works, we will not suffer the reward of him who shall work righteousness to perish. For them are gardens of eternal abode, which shall be watered by rivers. They shall be adorned therein with bracelets of gold, and they shall be clothed in green ornaments of fine silk and brocades, reposing themselves thereon on thrones. Oh, how happy a reward, and how easy a couch! And propound unto them as a parable 2 men, on one of them whom we had bestowed 2 vineyards, and had surrounded them with palm trees, and had caused kernels to grow between them. Corn in older English doesn't necessarily mean corn, as the yellow thing with ears. Kernels is what the Arabic would say. Koran never mentions corn, as most would know the term corn. Between them, each of the gardens brought forth its fruit, and failed not at all. And we caused a river to flow in the midst thereof, and he had great abundance. And he said unto his companion, by way of debate, I am superior to thee in wealth, and have a more powerful family. And he went into his garden, being guilty of injustice against his own soul, and said, I do not think that this will decay forever, neither do I think that the last hour will come. And although I should return unto my Lord, verily I shall find a better than this in exchange. And his companions said unto him by way of debate, Dost thou not believe in him who created thee of the dust, and afterwards of seed, then fashion thee into a perfect man. But as for me, God is my Lord, and I will not associate any other deity with my Lord. And when thou enterest thy garden, wilt thou not say, What God pleaseth? There is no power but in God. Although seest me to be inferior to thee in wealth and number of children, my Lord is well able to bestow on me a better gift from thy garden, and to shoot arrows against the same from heaven, so that it should become barren dust, or its water may seek deep, that thou canst not draw thereof. And his possessions were encompassed. Wherefore he began to turn down the palms of his hands for that which he had expended thereon, for the vines thereof were fallen down on their trails. And he said, Would to God that I had not associated any other deity with my Lord. And he had no party to assist him besides God, neither was he able to defend himself against his vengeance. In such case, protection of right unto God alone. He is the best rewarder and the best giver of success. And let's remember that whether the punishment comes in this life or the next life, or whether it's internal or external, when you are wronging others, what you are truly doing is wronging your own soul. Such protection of God alone, and He's best reward and the best giver of success. And propound to them a similitude of the present life, like water which we send down from heaven, and the herb of the earth is mixed therewith. And after it been green and flourishing, in the morning it becometh a dry stubble which the winds scatter about, and God is able to do all things. Now some people have pulled this thing of the Bible. Every time it just simply mentions the word herb, they pretend like it's referring to marijuana or some drug plant. As, oh, see, God has blessed us with drugs, and we get to use them how we please. No, not at all. It does not say such things. Wealth and children are the ornaments of this present life, but good works are the permanent. Better in the sight of thy Lord with respect to the reward, and better with respect to hope. On a certain day we will cause the mountains to pass away, and thou shalt see the earth appearing plain and even, and we will gather together, and we will not leave any one of them behind. And they shall be set before thy Lord in a distinct order, and he shall say unto them, Now are ye come unto us, as we created you in the first time, but ye thought that we should not perform our promises unto you, and the book wherein everyone's actions are recorded shall be put, and thou shalt see the wicked in great terror because of that which is written therein. And they shall say, Alas for us! What meaneth this book? It omitteth neither a small action nor a great one, but it compromiseth the same. And they shall find that which they have wrought present. And thy Lord will not deal unjustly with anyone. Remember when we said unto the angels, Prostrate towards Adam, and they all prostrated towards him except Iblis, Diabolos, Azel, Malaktaus, whatever you're going to call, the separate from God, the separate from manifestation, the separate from hope, the devil, who is one of the jinn, who is a genie. Genie is the singular, jinn is the plural of firebeing. And departed from the command of his Lord. Will ye therefore take him and his offspring for patrons besides me? Notwithstanding, they are your enemies. Miserable change to the ungodly. I called not them to be present at the creation of the heavens and of the earth, nor at the creation of themselves. Neither did I take those seducers for my assistants. On a certain day God shall say unto the idolaters, Call those whom ye imagine to be my companions to protect you. And they shall call them, but they shall not answer them. And we will place a valley of destruction between them. And the wicked shall see fire, and they shall know that they shall be thrown into the same, and they shall find no way to avoid it. And now have we variously propounded unto men in this Koran a parable of every kind, but man cavilleth at most things therein. Yet none hindereth men from believing. Now a direction is come unto them, and from asking a pardon of their Lord, excepting that they wait until the punishment of their predecessors come to be afflicted on them, or that the chastisement of the next life is come upon them publicly. We send not our messengers, but to bear good tidings, and to denounce threats. Those who believe not dispute with vain arguments, that they may thereby render the truth of no effect, and they hold my signs of the admonitions which have been made them in derision. And who is more unjust than he who hath been acquainted with the signs of his Lord, and retireth afar off from the same, and forgetteth that which his hands had formerly committed? Verily, we have cast veils over their hearts, lest they should understand, and unto their ears thickness of hearing. If thou invite them to the true direction, yet will they not therefore be directed forever. Thy Lord is gracious, endued with mercy. If he would have punished them for that which they have committed, he would doubtless have been hastened their punishment. But a threat against them, and they shall find no refuge besides him. And those cities did we destroy when they acted unjustly, and we gave them previous warning of their destruction. So God gives us no excuse. And when Moses said to his servant, so this is the story of Khidr. Well, Joshua is mentioned first. Moses said to his servant, I will not cease to go forward until I come to a place where the two seas meet, or I will travel for a long space of time. But when they arrived at the meeting of the two seas, they forgot their fish, and their fish took its way freely in the sea. And the vernal equinox of the two fish of Pisces is a symbolic meaning of this here, wherein you find the second book of Maccabees and the other Maccabees being the vernal equinox, heliacal rising of that first fish of Pisces, and the founding in Judaism, and the time where the second fish came around. It was the time of Paul, the founder of Christianity. So Judaism and Christianity, the two seas separating. They forgot their fish, and their fish took its way freely in the sea. Well, obviously talk about the cataracts of the Nile, but so the literal meaning is very important too, just not the symbolic meanings, which you're free to share some of the symbolic meanings in the comments. And when they had passed beyond, Moses said to his servant, Bring us our dinner, for now are we fatigued with this our journey. He answered, Dost thou know, when we took up our lodging at the rock, verily I forgot the fish, and none made me forget it except Satan, that I should not remind of it. And the fish took its way into the sea in a wonderful manner. Moses said, This is what we sought after. And they both went back, returning by the way they came. And they found one of our servants unto whom we had granted mercy from us, and whom we had taught wisdom before us. And Moses said unto him, Shall I follow thee, that thou mayest teach me part of that which thou hast been taught, for a direction unto me? He answered, Kither, the green one, Verily thou canst not bear with me, for how canst thou patiently suffer those things, the knowledge whereof thou dost not comprehend? Moses said, Thou shalt find me patient, if God please, neither will I be disobedient to thee in anything. He said, If thou follow me, therefore ask me not concerning anything, until I shall declare the meaning thereof unto thee. So they both went on by the seashore, and they went up into a ship, and made a hole therein. And Moses said unto him, Hast thou made a hole therein, thou mayest drown those who are on board? Now hast thou done a strange thing. He answered, Did I not tell thee that thou couldst not bear with me? And Moses said, Rebuke me not, because I did forget, and impose not on me a difficulty in what I am commanded. Wherefore they proceeded until they met with a youth, and he slew them. Moses said, Hast thou slain an innocent person without killing another? Without his having killed another? Now hast thou committed an unjust action. He answered, Did I not tell thee that thou couldst not bear with me? Moses said, If I ask thee concerning anything hereafter, suffer me not to accompany thee. Now hast thou received an excuse from me. They went forwards, therefore, until they came into the inhabitants of a certain city, and they asked food of the inhabitants thereof, but they refused to receive them. And they found a wall, which was ready to fall down, and he set it upright. The people there, they had walls that they commonly hid their treasures in their walls. The Amorites. Moses said unto him, If thou wouldest, thou might doubtless have received a reward for it. He answered, This shall be a separation between me and thee, but I will first declare unto thee the signification of that which thou couldst not bear with patience. The vessel belonged to certain poor men who did their business in the sea, and I was minded to render it unserviceable, because there was a king behind them who took every ship by force. As to the youth, his parents were true believers, and we feared lest he should oblige them to suffer his perverseness and ingratitude. Wherefore we desire that their Lord may give them a more righteous child in exchange for him, and one more affectionate. And the wall belonged to 2 orphan youths in the city, and under it was a treasure which belonged to them, and their father was a righteous man. And thy Lord was pleased that they should attain their full age and take forth their treasure through the mercy of thy Lord. And I did not of mine own will, but by God's direction. So this was specifically by God's direction, not as a preventative measure, that the people are, before they hit puberty, are innocent. And that would be the second part. And the third part is that, well, because they don't have the responsibility, they might not make the right judgment, so it's better that the pre-adolescents wait to have their inheritance. So whether he was a man or whether he was a light being, it matters relatively little in this case. This is interpretation of that which thou couldst not bear with patience. The Jews will ask thee concerning Alcoran, and Alcoran in the Bible is called Kurash, so Cyrus the Great, which was literally called Alcoran, the king of two horns. This is nothing new. Answer, I will rehearse unto you an account of him. We made him powerful in the earth, and we gave him the means to accomplish everything. And he followeth his way until he came to a place where the sun setteth. You know, the time of the sun setteth is what it actually says in Arabic. And he found it to set in a spring of black mud, and he found near the same a certain people. And we said unto him, O Dhul Qarnayn, either punish this people or use gentleness towards them. He answered, whosoever of them shall commit injustice, we will surely punish him. Afterwards shall he return unto his Lord, and he shall punish them with a severe punishment. But whosoever turn back and doth that which is right shall receive the most excellent reward, and we will give him a command which is to say. Then he continued in his way until he found a place where the sun setteth, until he came to the time of the place where the sun riseth, and he found it to rise on a certain people, unto whom we have given forth, had given anything wherewith to shelter themselves therefrom. We had not given them anything therewith to shelter themselves from. Thus it was, and when we comprehended with our knowledge the forces which were with him, and he prosecuted his journey, until he came between the two mountains, beneath which we found certain people, and who could scarcely understand what was said. And so he followed away, is the shortest verse, 85 and 92. Fatba'a sababa, thumma adba'a sababa. So these are the shortest verses of Quran. And remember, this was just the visual thing he saw at the time of the setting and rising of the sun out of the water into the mud. The Quran, talking about the earth rolling, makes very clear. He said, verily Gog and Magog waste the land. Shall we therefore pay tribute on condition that thou wilt build a rampart between us and them? So there was a wall built, Demerkand, that when it broke, the Magyar and the Mongols, the Sakis people, mentioned in the Bible in the Middle Ages when they could finally ride through the breaks in this iron wall after that earthquake in the 1200s or 1100s. When was this earthquake? Nice waistline, therefore made tribute on condition thou build a rampart between us and them. He answered, the power wherewith my Lord has strengthened me is better than your tribute, but assist me strenuously, and I will set a strong wall between you and them. Bring me iron in large pieces and fill it up between the two sides of the mountains. And he said, blow with your bellows until it make the iron red hot as fire. And he said, further, bring me molten brass that I may pour upon it, whereof this wall was finished. And Gog and Magog could not scale it, neither could they dig through it. And Dhul Qarnayn said, this is a mercy from my Lord, but when the prediction of my Lord shall come, he shall reduce to dust. So this ancient Persian wall is crumbled. The Median Persia, Dhul Qarnayn, because of Median Persia, and he wore a crown with two horns. This is a mercy from my Lord. And Dhul Qarnayn said, this is a mercy from my Lord, but when the prediction of my Lord shall come, he shall reduce to dust, and the prediction of my Lord is true. On the day we will suffer some of them to press tumultuously, like waves on others, and the trumpet shall be sounded, and we will gather them in a body together. On that day, hell will be before the unbelievers, whose eyes have been veiled from my remembrance, and who could not hear my words. So whose eyes have been under a covering from my remembrance, and who could not bear to hear it. So 101 through 110. And the first 10 are great verses to say in the Friday, and to prepare one, how to live in this last days. On that day, we will suffer some of them to pass mostly like waves upon the others, and the trump will be sounded, and we will gather them in a body together, and we will set on hell on that day